trying to do to me when you keep on blessing me this way? I can't explain all you've done for me, but you sure put a smile on my face. Everywhere I go, I gotta let the whole world know. Gotta let the whole world know. Really.
Well, good morning and welcome to God's Will for Your Life with Prophet Dr. Kenny Applewhite. This is a great Sunday morning and I'm really excited. Tomorrow, myself, my daughter, and my team will be on our way to Detroit, Michigan to film the music video Through It All with Dr. Dorinda Cole. We'll be filming at Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church, where the Honorable Presiding Bishop Prelate of Kojic, Bishop Jeju Sheard, is pastor, and First Lady Karen Clark Sheard is First Lady. They're like my family, and we'll be filming the video in Detroit. My niece, Gina Peaton, David Peaton, Brandon Peaton, Margaret Brown, Lois Sutton, we are all traveling, and we're going to be having a good time filming this music video. And listen, September 12th is the CD and video release party at Beacon Hall in Egg Harbor City. I think it's 243 St. Louis Avenue. And we're going to be having 6 p.m. We're going to have a CD and video release party. And guess who's coming? Dorinda Clark Cole is going to be hosted by my friend, Dr. Fondrea Lewis. She is a in-demand preacher and prophetess, and Dr. Antonio Schroeder will be hosting and co-hosting, and we're just going to have a great time. Now, you have to be invited. If you want to be invited, you need to DM me so I can send you an invitation, and upon entering, you need to buy the CD single, which will be available at the door. Before you come in, buy a single. And we're going to party. We're going to have a good time celebration. This is a big milestone in my life. This is a promise that God had made me, that one day I would write a song that will sweep the nation and win all kind of accolades and awards. And I didn't know it would be at the age of 64, God, when I was ready to move on from the music business, and I just wanted to retire, relax, and the Lord said, get up, write the song. Here's the song to sweep the nation. And he told me to call Dorinda Clark Cole, and we went to Detroit last month, and she cut the vocals, and we got it mixed, mastered, and ready to go, ready prepped for radio. And God is good, God is great, and I'm excited what God is doing in my life. And God was like, it's time to go back into the music business, because when I gave my life to Christ, he told me to put it on the back burner. That was almost 30 years ago. So I thank God for his goodness, mercy. I thank God for my sister Elaine Hawks, who's helped me plan this great celebration. And I know she's going to have the hall decked out for her brother, her and William Deacon Hawks, their own Beacon Hall. And I thank God for them, because I didn't want to do anything big. I'm going to wait till the song become a #1 hit, and then I'm going to do an all-white outside party next year. But but I wanted to do something intimate, something with friends, something with radio, with industry people, and I didn't want nothing really, really big, but something intimate, and their hall is great for that. And we're going to show the video, big screen for the video. We're just going to have a good time. God is a good God. God is awesome. And, the Lord had been telling me that I was going to see his hand in July, and I did. I seen God do miraculous things. I need help with the budget. Someone sowed the seed. I do the bag lunch ministry. I'm telling you, the bag lunch ministry I saw, and it exceeded what I was looking forward to, how God would have people give and sow, that everything would be filled to capacity for us to do this a weekly bag lunch. And I thank God for his hand. See, when God is in, he said, when God is in it, see, when God is in the building, the sick shall be healed. And God knows that there are hungry people and hungry children. We've been able to give out bag lunches to children, to family. Yesterday, my daughter was giving out bag lunch. There was a woman with 4 children, and the Lord said, pull over, give them bag lunches. And she was like, oh, y'all do this? She was so excited. She had young children. She had one son who was disabled. He was nonverbal. And the kids were so excited. They were so cute. And I just thank God for his goodness. I thank God for his mercy. How many know that God is a provider? And I'm going to tell you something. Whenever you're doing something for God, if you see into something that someone is doing that's called to do a work for God, God is going to bless you along with that person, because he said, I'm going to pour you out a blessing where you don't have room enough to receive. He also said that I'm going to bless you in this life and a life to come. And God is really doing that for me. He promised me a millionaire, and I believe it's coming through this music. So I'm excited what God is doing. Now the Lord is dealing with me to do a whole project called Through It All. And he's going to surround me with some great artists. I got to sit down and start writing songs. I have so much on my plate. I'm finishing up my master's at Rowan. I have to do an internship while working on this record, and so God want me to get this thing done, and I got to keep my health right. I'm 64 years old, but God is still a good God. He is still a great God. And when God, it doesn't matter how old you are. A lot of the Moses and Abraham, and then Abraham was 98 years old when he produced his son Isaac. And also his wife was 95. And his work didn't happen until he was 98. That's when he met God. And God promised him a son. And God promised him he would be the father to the nation. And a lot of things happened for people like Joseph. Joseph was a young boy where God created, where there was a situation that when the devil meant for his harm, meant for his good. His brothers were jealous because he had favor with his father. His father made him a coat of many, many colors, and he had great favor. And the brothers, he went somewhere to I don't know if he went to take them some bread, some food or something. And the brothers saw him and they were jealous, and they wanted to kill him, but they did not kill him, but they put him in a pit, and then he was sold off. And then that man became second in line to the king, and very wealthy, very rich, but without his family. There are times where God have you to do things for him, and you got to excommunicate yourself from everybody. I want y'all, the Lord was dealing with me this weekend where he was saying, everybody can't go where you're going. Do you hear me? Everybody can't go where you're going. You can't take everybody with you. You want to take Cooley, Booley, and Schooly and Julie, but God said you cannot do that. He said, I need you. That's like when he told was it Moses? No, was it Moses? Abraham, go to a place where I prepare for you. Leave your mother and father. And he didn't know where he was going. A lot of times God will have you going places, but everybody can't go with you. And Abraham wanted to take his nephew with him. He wanted to take people with him. But how many know that you can't take everybody with you? He wanted to take a Lot with him, and he could not take Lot with him. Lot had his own assignment, but God is saying there's some things I'm going to assign to your hand, and everybody can't not go, because why? Everybody's not happy for you. There will be some doubters. There will be some haters. There will be some people that don't want to see you succeed, and there will be some pretenders and people that will pretend that they're with you. And God said they're not with you. They're with you for the spoils, for the fishes and the loaves, and God will begin to show you, and you say, well, God, I want, they have to go. God, no, no, you can't take everybody with you. And I see that in this family where God has his hands on this husband, wife, and the children, and they're highly exalted and they're very wealthy. But the other family, it looked like it's like a looking glass, like they're looking at the prosperity in God's hand, and they can't be a part of it. And they're very, some of them are very envious and very jealous. But you know, when God has a plan for your life, you cannot take everybody with you. The word that the Lord gave me to talk about today is, what does it mean that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen? I remember when I first got saved and I started reading Hebrews 11:1, and God showed me an illustration where there was this dark room with a long table, and there was a Bible at the end, and he closed the door, and it was dark, and I had to follow this long table to get to the Bible. I had to move by faith. I knew that the Bible was there, but I had to move by faith in darkness to get to the Bible. Then the door would open. So he said that's how faith is. When God, everything that I've ever done for the Lord, everything from the award shows, from feeding the homeless, everything was always by faith. He would just say, do it. And then he would give me instructions as I went along, or he would provide, he would make provisions as I went along. And then when I would get finished the task, it would be amazing. And you know why? Because he would get the glory. Because nobody could say, I helped Kenny do that. I helped nobody could say. And I always did it by myself. He would give me a team later on, but the gist of the task I would have to do on my own. And I remember when God told me, he told me in the beginning stages, he said, I want you to start a Christmas luncheon. I want turkey. He said he wanted turkey, stuffing, vegetables, cold water, soda, cakes, and everything. And what he did was, I was working for a temp agency because God had stripped me from everything. I was working for Donald Trump. I was a gaming supervisor, and God stripped me. He took me out of that, and I was working for Penton's. And he said, start a luncheon. I was working at Atlantic Care in the corporate office in human resources. And the Lord said, first thing I want you to do is a flyer. Then he instructed on me who to call. So I can't remember. I think it was a Casino Bally's. He said, call them. They'll donate turkeys. And they did. And then they cooked it. Or Stockton College cooked it and put the stuffing in. Then he said, go to Old Country Buffet. They'll provide the vegetables. And they will get up early in the morning, their staff, and they will cook the vegetables. And God will provide fresh rolls. And he said, go to Sam Wholesale. They will give me a pick of all the big, you know how they have those nice design cakes? They would give me like 10, 15 of those cakes. And our owner, it was a African-American man. He was nice. I don't know where he is, if he's still alive, but he owned the bus station in Lang City. He would provide all the sodas. And then the shopping center manager will provide all the sodas. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So everything would be done by faith. And every year, and then in the summertime, the Lord said, I want you to do a pizza day. And he said, go to all the pizza shops on Atlantic Avenue. And then it was one in Brigantine, said, ask them to donate. And they would donate fresh pizza and deliver them to this park for me, Browns Park. Then he would say, do hot dog day. And I would do hot dog day with a bag of chips and soda. And we would minister, preach the gospel. Everything was by faith. And during those times, I did not have a car. I would catch the bus to get the food. My sister would loan me her van. Bishop Wandell Johnson, pray for him. He hasn't been feeling well. I think he's home from the hospital, but keep him in prayer. He would give me, the Lord would say, call him. He would give me his van. When God would tell me to use the soldier's home, and he would say, call Bishop Jerkins. He'll pay for the haul. And every time I called him, he said, Sevilla, write him a check. And she would write the check, and they would mail me the check, and I would pay for the hall. So everything was by faith and not by sight. But God blessed me for doing that, and it would just be amazing because I did not own a car. God made me turn my car in, and I would have to do everything by faith. I'd be on the bus. Sometimes I cry because I said, "Why do I have to do this? I don't have a car. I don't have," but God provided. So I had to move by faith. So a lot of things, even this project I'm working on now, is by faith and not by sight. It's by faith and not by sight. Because guess what? When the finished product come and this song become a #1 hit all over the world, like the Lord said, and begin to generate millions of dollars, who's going to get the glory? God. So the answer is the writer of Hebrews opened up chapter 11 with a brief description of faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The statement should not be regarded as a complete definition of faith. Instead, the author focused on two critical aspects of a much broader theological concept to introduce a famous gallery of Old Testament heroes of faith. The first vital cause of faith is that it is the substance of things hoped for. So having faith in God is like, Lord, I believe you. It's just like a child. If you say, okay, what do you want for Christmas? I want a bike. Okay. They're going to sing till December, Christmas Eve. I'm going to get a bike. Mama going to get me a bike. Daddy going to buy me a bike. I'm going to ride a bike up and down the street day and night. Guess what? That child gets that bike. This child, every time I would say, Mom, I want this for Christmas, I would give her a list. And I knew I didn't have to worry. Ida was going to get that for her son Kenny because I was a good student. I was a good kid. And she got it for me. So that's what faith, God wants us to have that childlike faith. To believe if God say you're going to build a home, guess what? You're going to build a home. If God say you're going to live like this, guess what? You're going to live like that. But look, he's going to take you around the mulberry bush. It's not going to be an easy process. Because why? He's going to test you. He's going to try you. He's going to get you to that place where you're going to have to move by faith and not by sight. So the Bible says the word for substance is the clause faith is the substance of things hoped for is translated as assurance. So the hope for is assurance, is confident, it's a reality, it's the foundation, it's the real being, it's the actual assistant, it's the substantial nature and a resolute trust. So the Bible said that the cause faith is the substance of things hoped for describes a conviction that already takes custody here and now of what we hope for and what God has promised us in the future. This present day ownership of things hoped for and promised in the future is an inner reality. Right now, amid a global pandemic, financial crisis, and social unrest as our world seems to be falling apart. In the pandemic, we were unsure when they shut down. Remember that day they shut down everything in the world. But look how God gave us confidence, believe and trust in him. We had more money, more food, more resources than we ever had. God's people was well taken care of. Didn't want for anything. You still lived a sustainable life, even though some people were dying and it was dire straits. But God's people was well taken care of till the world opened back up. And finally, we're at the place where now we don't have to wear masks, because remember we had to wear masks for a long time. We didn't know if there was going to be food, if there's going to be water. We had to load up on this and load up on that. But look how God brought us out. And people didn't lose homes. They didn't lose their cars. They weren't displaced. You could live rent-free. All kind of things were opening up for us. So God is good. So it says that the present day ownership of things hoped for and promised in the future is an enter reality. Right now, in the middle of global pandemic, as I said, we stand on the rock, solid, unshakable promise of God's security. Because God said, no good thing shall withhold from those who walk upright before me. He said, I will take care of you. I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory by Christ Jesus, because the earth belongs to God. And guess what? God will take care of his people. He can't turn his back on you. He cannot do it. Um, that's right. When you see these catastrophes like great floods and storms and tornadoes tearing through towns and cities and states, God always have a remedy. He'll bring together, he'll form a committee that will bring in supplies of food, water. People build houses. Oprah Winfrey built houses for people in New Orleans. Low income housing, and God replaced, because that's the kind of God that we serve, So it says the substance describes an inward response to God's trustworthy, unfailing nature. We can be sure of the Lord's promise because, as the writer of Hebrew goes on to show, biblical heroes of every generation have proven them to be true. By faith, the Bible said that Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. On and on goes the list. By faith, Noah built the ark, saved his family, and became an heir of righteousness. By faith, Abraham obeyed God and moved from his homeland. God is an awesome God. The writer of Hebrew presents example after example of those who demonstrated faith as the substance of things hoped for. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on the earth. From the patriarchs to King David to anonymous champions of faith, believers have trusted, the Bible said, in God's promises despite enduring unimaginable challenges. You ever had go to a service and someone prophesy something to you and say, God said you're going to get this, you're going to get that, and years and years and years. I remember one time when the Lord had stripped me from everything, and I was walking home in my neighborhood to my mother's house, and the Lord said, one day you will drive Mercedes. I was walking when he said it. I did not have a car. For 8 years, I did not have a car. Then he said, one day you'll be rent-free. Then he said, one day you'll be debt-free. And guess what? I started driving Mercedes first. I became rent-free next. And then I became debt-free. But that took years, 10, 12, 13 years. And then one God said, he showed me a dream. He showed this elder a dream that I had this plush bedroom set, and the bedroom had poles on it. That came to pass. I have that bedroom set. One time he dealt with this woman in the church. She called me. She said, I'm not a prophetess or anything, but God showed me a dream. You're going to college, and you're going to be with students of other nationalities, but this is not a Bible college. You're going to regular college. I went to Stockton and got a degree. That was God. That was God. That was definitely God. I remember one time God showed me a dream where I was inside this car, and it was beige interior, beige seats. Everything was beige. My car that God gave me after I had walked for almost 10 years, the interior was beige. God is a good God. God is a kind God. He is an awesome God. I remember one time God showed me a dream. My sister was sitting at a desk counting money. Next to her was a recording microphone. And I thought the dream meant I could start back recording, but that's not what it meant. He was showing me a glimpse of something in the future, and then it came to pass. When I started pastoring, my sister would take the offerings, and where I pastored at had a loft upstairs was my studio, recording studio. And I saw the vision come, the dream come to pass. My sister was sitting at the desk counting money, and next to her was a booth. And that took years to happen. The dream was in 1998. The dream came to pass in the year 2008. Isn't that something? So 10 years. It took 10 years, but I saw it. I saw it for myself. I saw the dream come to pass. And when I walked in there, she was counting money. I said, I dreamed this. Many things I dreamed about came to pass, but it took years. The Lord showed me a dream where I had 2 degrees, and I had on a burgundy graduation cap and gown, and I was celebrating. Well, that happened. I went to Bible college, and let me see. God showed me that dream because he showed me a lot of dreams in 1998. 1998 or 1999. That happened in 2000 and I think 2006 or 2007. That graduation happened. I had on a burgundy cap and gown. I have a picture of it, and I was holding a degree. That came to pass. So God will give you a glimpse of things that are going to happen in your life. He will give you a glimpse of things that were going to happen in your life. I remember one time the Lord showed me a dream. I was going to be around T.D. Jakes. That was in 1998. I had a dream that there was a long movie camera swerving over top of me while I was sitting in the audience, and that came to pass. And I was at MegaFest in Atlanta, and on the stage I was up front. There was T.D. Jakes, and I was around T.D. Jakes. And then that afternoon we went to a service, and there was a long pole with the camera swerving around. See, sometimes you got to pay attention to your dreams. You have to pay attention to your dreams and to vision, because God will show you a glimpse of things that are going to happen. And it could take years. And some of these dreams, it took years for them to come to pass. It's just like 30 years ago, the Lord spoke to me, and through two prophets, 5 years apart, they said the same prophecy, and they both died. They're both no longer here. They said, one day you will write a song that will sweep the nation, win a Stella. And I held on to that thing till finally, I don't know if it was last year or the year before last, I said, God, well, maybe that wasn't you. Father, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And here was May of this year. I got up to pray at 5 in the morning. The Lord said, it's time to write the song that's going to sweep the nation. And that morning I wrote the song. And he said, it's time to record it. And he put me together with a dynamic. He used, she's like my niece, her name is Regina Pete. And I called her. I said, do you know anybody that can help me produce? I wanted to use other producers. And the Lord said, not them. And she told me about this guy, and he sent me his song, and I played it. As I'm listening to it, the anointing rushed through my belly, and I said, this is him. And we got together and knocked out the music, and I knew that it was God. See, when God's timing comes to pass, everything works, everything flows like it's supposed to flow. And this has been a journey where everything has been by faith and not by sight. And I'm saying, Lord, the Lord had told me to do something, and it wasn't hard, but I knew it was him, because he knew I would need the help from this particular thing he told me to do. And I did what he said and found out I needed the help through this. And then he would direct me to seek out different people to seed, and they would seed. And then, he said, you'll have something great happen. And something great happened this week, so I can take it to the next level. Oh my God, you see how God he's positioning this song And he's doing it in steps. A, B, C. I think I'm at A was writing the song. B was getting a producer to help me to do production. C was recording. D was mix and mastering. Uh, E is the video. F is doing the uh, release party. And then G is radio promotions. I'm ready for radio promotions. So we don't know what's going to happen. Then God said next year through the song, some great things are going to happen. So God is an awesome God. He does things in decency and order. A lot of times, the Bible said his ways are what? Past finding out. But he said you need faith. There are some projects and things God is going to give you to do. You need faith. You know, God will tell you to do a business. Like I remember God told me, he showed me a dream. I was going to have a recording studio. And someone gave me a loft, gave it to me, upstairs loft. And one of the things I used to pray to God, I said, God, whenever you give me a studio, I want a leather couch. And when they gave me the loft for the studio, they said, God told me to give you this for a recording studio. And they said, there's a leather couch. It was a brand new leather couch with a tag on it. That was my sign that this was God. He had heard me. And then I went into business, and Lord showed me he was going to make a lot of money, but I don't know why he gave it to me. And then after a while, I ended up closing it down because people wanted to record for free. They didn't want to pay. I'll clean. I'll work for you. I just want to do. And I was like, well, God, I'm supposed to be making money from this. So I went back to school to get my degree. I went and finished my degree. That was my heart's desire, was to finish my degree. But God is a good God. So a lot of things I had to move by faith. But before he gave me the studio, I remember I was praying. The Lord said, take a notebook, go to the music store, and see how much it costs for equipment for a recording studio. And I went, and the guy showed me everything I needed to get started. It came up to like $6,000. And then one day the Lord said, you're getting ready to get a settlement. And I said, a settlement? I forgot I got hurt on my last job. And they owed me disability money. And this lawyer called me and said, you won a lawsuit. I said, a lawsuit? They said, when you got hurt on your job, you need to go to court so they can grant it to you. And I went to court, scared, nervous, said, Lord, they got the right person. And they called my name. The judge said, did anyone force you to take this settlement? I said, no, sir. He said, well, you're settling for this amount of money. And I ran out of the office so they wouldn't stop me because I couldn't believe this was God. So the check came, and the Lord said, go get the equipment. God had gave me the building. I'm telling you, when God gave me the building, I was driving, and I thought it was raining, but I was actually profusely crying at the miracle. I mean, the tears were just falling hard. And so I went back to the store. I said, I'm here to get the equipment. Here's my list. Everything was 50% off. God is a good God. And I couldn't believe the things he did. And then I remember this woman of God prophesied. She said she had told me 10 years before. Again, 10 years before, she had told me, I see men building a recording studio booth for you. I see men building. That came to pass. I hired these guys and they built this booth. Everything came to pass. And see, God will speak things and they might not happen right away, but they happen. Listen, my time is almost up. I could go on and on. But listen, if God is telling you to move by faith, this message is about go ahead and move. Go ahead and get started. You don't have the money, but investigate, look, write down what you need. And then go back to God and say, okay, God, I did this. then God will take you to the next level. He'll take you to the next step. God will use people in high places with millions of dollars to help you to sow. That's what he is doing to me. He brought the Presiding Bishop Kojic into my life, and he's opening doors for me. And God told me he was going to open doors, him and his wife. And I thank God for them. Listen, if you like to see to this program, you can cash app KENI, Apple White Biz, sow to God's Will for Your Life. And so too, we have gospel radio station. They're a nonprofit. We work in ministry. We don't get paid. We don't get a paycheck, but we're doing God's business, and God is going to bless you for that. And I just thank God for his goodness, for his mercy. Pray for my health and my strength, and just pray this task and this building of a recording company, and what God has me doing is by faith and not by sight. I don't have a budget, but God is supplying all the needs. He is taking care of everything that I need, and I thank God for his goodness. I thank God for his mercy. I thank God because he did not forget me. Let me see, excuse me. I'm sorry. So it says, faith being the substance of things hoped for, it's also an outward force. Possessing the reality of hope supplies believers with a motivation to endure trials and hardship. It results in decisive obedience, the kind that caused the ancient heroes of faith to act upon their hope. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Activities believers to preach boldly, pray unceasingly, love unconditionally, serve compassionately, and work timelessly and tirelessly as long as it is day. John 9:4. The inward substance of faith moves our hearts, while the external reality moves mountains. So faith can move a mountain, can move mountains. And I have God say, ask me a hard thing. You know, one of the things God says to me now, he'll say, hold out your hands, extend your hands. And when he tells me to do that, he sends me finances. He blesses me. So I thank God for his goodness. I thank God for his mercy. I thank God for his kindness. I thank God that I'm chosen. I thank God that I want to live for him. I want to serve him. I thank God because I want to see his face. How many want to see his face? Send me a heart. I just want to see the face of the Most High God. God is an outstanding God. He is a keeper of his word. He cannot, shall not, and will not lie. God, I hear the Lord saying he's opening doors. If you're looking for doors, God is opening doors. There's someone listening to me, and God said, you're going to build. You're going to build something great for him, almost like a tabernacle, but it's going to service people. Thank you, Holy Ghost. That's for me. It's going to service his people. Let me tell you what God's going to do. He just revealed. He's going to start pouring out millions of dollars to faithful people. He's going to just start pouring out. You know, God owns the mint, right? You know, it's God that gave the man the mind to print the money, right? Do you know God can make people give you? Remember I talked about the choir director and the cigarette heiress wanted to sing on the choir, but she couldn't sing, but he put her on the board, and when she died, she left him millions of dollars. He never asked her for a dime, but she left him millions of dollars. She was able to send his children and grandchildren to college, pay for them to go to college. God is good. God is great. God is outstanding. Listen, my time is almost up, but let me tell you something. God is a magnificent God. And let me tell you, don't worry about a thing. I feel the presence of God. There's someone worrying about debt. Don't worry about a thing. God got it all in control. He's going to work it out. He's going to pay the bills. That's it. The bill that the recent bill you got, that's his bill. And guess what? He's going to supply the need and make sure that bill is paid. Listen, y'all be blessed, and I will see y'all next week.